You so much, ma'am. All right, how's everyone feeling this afternoon? Everyone feeling okay? Yeah. Right? Okay, fantastic. Good stuff. So, who was not here this morning? Okay, your name, sir?
Brian.
Brian?
Yeah.
Your name, ma'am? Angela. Brian, Angela, welcome. So my name is Neil. We're going to have some fun. We're going to try to learn a few things today without me teaching you anything, okay? So I've had some conversation. Many of you already know what to do. And I'm not talking about if you were here with me earlier this morning. Just from previous life experience, previous business experience, we're going to already know the things to do. We just have to implement some of these pieces, all right? So first, I must not make any assumptions. I don't want to make any assumptions. Can everyone still understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. Next thing, any military vets, active service personnel, reservists? Oh, hold on. So military vet, what branch? Army? Navy. So here's what we are going to do. Angela, and your name, sir? Esteban. I need Angela and Esteban to stay seated, and I need everyone else to stand to our feet, please. Everyone else stand to our feet. And can we give Angela and Esteban the standing ovation that they deserve, please, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Now, now y'all can have a seat. They aren't that good now. So really quickly, Esteban, you said Navy, sir. All right, so my dad was a Blue Jacket. He was a sailor, right? And so the reason I start every presentation, every class the same way is because it's because of your bravery, your courage, your sacrifice that we get to enjoy a day like today, right? And so we don't take for granted what you all have done. And so even though at times it seems like we're ignorant and that we forget the sacrifices that were made, we don't take it lightly. So next, family members of active service, reservists, veterans, or first responders. Any family members? All right, we're going to give you all a round of applause as well, but you don't get a standing ovation, okay? And here's why. Because everything doesn't deserve equal weight. Do you all agree with that? Yes. Right there. Now, we do know that family members, a piece of their heart goes out with them on deployment or on shift when their loved one is out of the house. So we are going to do this thing, Introduction to International Real Estate. So we have Esteban, I think you caught a piece of the last class, right? And then Angela and Brian, we're going to take a journey. We're going to actually start building our global real estate businesses, okay? Even though it's intro. Brian, how long have you been in the industry, sir?
3 years.
3 years. Angela?
It'll be 3 years in August.
3 years in August. Esteban?
Here?
Less than a year. Okay, now so check this out. He was like, hey, here. So immediately, what does that mean to us? Are we picking up what Esteban is putting down? Do we pick it up? So what are we going to not assume, but what are we going to guess? We're going to guess that he's in the real estate industry somewhere else besides here. So where is besides here, Esteban? Costa Rica. Okay, are we getting excited, right? Because now we like, ooh, referral partner, here we go. Okay, are you still licensed in Costa Rica?
I am.
Okay, so what we are going to do this class that we did not do last hour. So if you were here last hour, I know you looked at the manual. Did everyone get the manual? May I borrow this, Brian, please? Everyone got this manual right here? Good stuff in here, not the most important part of the class. Okay, good stuff, not the most important part of the class. Today, in this hour, our time together, forgot to tell you, we are going to take a 7-minute break at 12:55. Okay, so we're going to have Elkie, she's going to get up here probably maybe around 1:30. What, did I say 12:55? That can't happen, right? I meant 1:55. No one corrected me. I'm up front, but that does not mean that I am perfect, okay? So 1:55-ish, we're going to have some conversation. We're going to go to our break. Before that, we're going to have Elkie come up here, and we are going to talk about this right here. So we're even going to be talking about how do we build that network, those referral allied resources throughout our time together. But something that we're going to do that's different from 1 to 3 is we are going to actually start building our global business. So there's going to be some exercises for us to do, and we're going to have a chance to network, right? Because if we really want to do this thing really well, you all don't need to know me as much as you need to know each other, right? And then this is going to be practice, right? So we're going to start asking questions. Why should someone work with you? Have you all answered that question? Why would an international buyer or seller work with you? If you cannot answer that so simply and clearly that a 5-year-old could explain it to a 5-year-old, you aren't clear enough in your communication, okay? Does everyone have an answer to that question right now? Why should I work with you? Do you have an answer? Yes. Are you all confident in your answer? Anyone want to share their answer with the class? Y'all like, no, I'm not that confident. Why would I work with you?
I always give feedback. I'm quick to answer my clients.
I always give feedback, quick to answer clients. Let me ask you, how many of you give feedback to your clients? How many of you are answering your clients' questions? How many of you are responsive? Okay.
Not everyone.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Not enough. Okay. So so I want you all thinking, right? I need you all to position yourself as better. Different is no longer good enough. I need you to position yourself as better than everyone else in here. And here's the challenge. You actually have to find some way to communicate your superiority in the eyes of the client or customer. Really quickly, when I say client, customer, you all know that if I say client, if you're working as transaction, you all need to hear customer or vice versa. We're clear there? We aren't going to violate any antitrust laws, yes? And we're not going to violate any fair housing issues, correct? Good stuff. So why would I work with you? First, we want to make sure, especially when we're talking about our international, global, worldwide clientele or customer base, everything we do has to be a win for who? Them. For them. A win for them. So we don't want to speak in terms of what's my benefit of working with them. It's what's their benefit of working with me. So before we go any further, how many of you are residential real estate agents? Primarily focus on residential. Raise your hands high. Okay. Commercial, raise your hand high. You all look around. Okay. How many of you are from I'm going to call our local market? How many of you are working the local market right here? All right. How many of you are outside of the local market? Okay. What market are you serving, ma'am?
We work with investors in Colombia, Argentina.
No, okay, so I'm talking about domestically. So in the U.S., is this your home association?
But outside Florida?
No, so in Florida.
Okay,
Orlando.
Tampa.
Okay. And you, sir?
Colorado, Denver.
Okay, Colorado, Denver.
But that's on the commercial side.
Okay, on the commercial side. Boynton Beach. Okay, so here's what we are going to do right when we start, because I know our attention spans can get short. Do you all believe me? Especially, how many of you ate lunch today? Right, so some of you, the next 15 minutes, it's going to be a big fight, right? You're like, ooh, you're going to be fighting those eyelids. Do I keep my eyes open or not? So here's what we are going to do. We are going to spend a quick 7 minutes networking in here. Now, so depending on culture, depending on how you operate, what you do, what your norm is, networking might look different for some of you than others. For some of you, networking looks like Gambit from the X-Men, right? Where you go by and just flick your cards at everybody. Done. Woo, that was productive. For some of you, networking looks like, oh, I like your dress. How old? Oh, you have kids. Where do you? And then you're going to probably talk to one person. Right? So we want to figure out what does networking look like, because this is going to be a part of us building that intro to international. So we really want to work on what is our networking style. These batteries are killing me. Okay, so we got to figure out, how do we network? What does that look like? So I am going to encourage you all to lead with a couple of things. First, what market do you serve? What type of market, what niche do you have? Is it single family? Is it going to be commercial? If it is commercial, is it gas stations or retail space? Okay, and then we want to tie in there, what makes you different from everyone else? Now, if you get stuck or stammering on that, it's better for us to learn in this environment than when money is on the line. Are you all with me? So can we do 7 minutes?
Yeah.
And so Are we adults, or can we pretend to be adults for 30 minutes at a time?
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to get 7 minutes on the clock. I'm not going to tell you all how to network, but once I hit start, I want you all to get up out of your seats, move around the room really quickly. How many of you are not comfortable right now? You're like, oh man, I sat in my seat because nobody was next to me, and this dude has just told me to move, right? And look at Jesus, he's already up. I better hurry up and go ahead and hit this button really quickly. So I want all of you, because this is going to be one of those things that as we start our journey international, that's going to make all the difference. And go. Let's go ahead and take our seats, please, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take our seats. All right, so I knew it was risky. I didn't know if we were going to be able to resume after we did that part, but we're going to resume anyway. Couple of questions. How many of you found that challenging or difficult or maybe a little bit uncomfortable networking? Did anyone? No? Okay. How many of you talked about languages that you speak or markets that you serve? Okay, hands down. How many of you talked about buyer or seller needs, wants, haves? Did anyone mention needs or wants that they have? Right? Okay. What was, so quick question, I started to see it, you all didn't realize it, but what could have been the most effective way to get that networking exercise done? Any idea?
A group. Needs and wants.
So,
More time.
one here, group. So we want to leverage. So what I started to see happen towards the last 3 minutes, when you all circled up, I want you all to think, how can you create more one-to-many opportunities? If we circle up instead of going one-on-one. And so not only in our networking, but also in our business, right? So instead of doing one-to-one advertising marketing, how can we do one-to-many? What I'm doing right now is what? One-to-many. So if we circle up, and so I want you all just to think about things differently. That's why I told you I'm not going to tell you how to network, but if you, and then in your business, what happens if you're the one that initiates that? Hey guys, gals, what if we circle up, have this, now you are seen as the mind behind it all, right? Are you all with me? Yeah. And then everyone benefits from one thing. And so, hey, why don't we circle up? And are you going to be the first one to talk? Nope. You're going to say, hey, why don't we circle up? Hey, Jesus, go ahead and start, right? Now, you all are like, hey, I know Jesus is going to like me because I made sure that he had an opportunity, right? And so this is how we play this game. All right, are you all with me?
Yes.
How many of you came up here and networked with me during that time? Did I say that you couldn't?
No.
Right? In every, I'm sorry? Here's what I'm going to tell you all. Listen for what isn't being said. So if Judith would have been in here, or myself, right? I'm here. I'm in here. I'm teaching the class. I'm going to give you all everything that we have time to give. How many of you during that period gave me your contact info? Right? I've given you all mine, like last class, but those of you who so always shoot for the top first. The way that you all are doing business, you're still thinking of the way that they teach us to do business in schools and class. That's not the way we win in global business, global real estate. Shoot for the top. If you see someone, come up here. What would have happened? Let's say Brian comes up here, has a conversation, starts talking to me. I know Cecilia's going to come up here and listen in. I'm going to say, Cecilia, what do you think? Then you all are going to see me having a conversation with Cecilia and Brian. What's going to happen? Be that first one to shoot to the top, ask the questions, because then everyone's going to benefit off a decision that you make. Are you all with me?
Yes.
So now we talk group will be the most effective way, but create the group around that central figure. And if you are that central figure, now you make sure that everyone wins. That's the way we win in global business. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Have we now shifted the way we think just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. So for How many of you had conversations with Caesar? Okay, where is Caesar from? What market is he serving? Boynton Beach. So especially if you are from outside of a marketplace, what's your job? What is your job if you're from outside of a marketplace?
Get a referral.
What's your job if you're outside of a marketplace?
Build a relationship.
Your job is to let everyone know how far you've come and that you're from outside of the marketplace. Whether you're in front of the class, if you're in the one-to-many or not. Yeah, listen, I just came over from Boynton. When did you come, sir?
This morning.
Okay, so now, here's what I would tell you all. If you really want to build your business, start bragging, start telling people stuff they need to know about you. When you are real estate professionals, how many of you know there are a lot of realtors locally that should be here that are not here? We know that, right? But then we see someone that should not be here geographically that's here. If we now start thinking, who would I refer business to? I want it to be someone that's driven, that's motivated, someone that I believe is going to take this thing serious. And does anyone here know what Caesar did before real estate? Does anyone know what he did before real estate? What was he doing?
He was in communications with Motorola.
Okay. Motorola Communications. So now, does anyone know how old Caesar is? How young he is, I should say.
27?
Come on, good guess. Close, close. Just a couple decades off, right? So, check this out. Here's what I know about Caesar from about 7 minutes of he and I having a conversation. 70 years old, right? Did a lot of business with Motorola, with a lot of global, international, with different countries, okay? What does that mean to me? He's told me, Neil, my goal is to do what? 4 or 5 transactions a year. I want to be able to travel. Now, he's from outside of the marketplace. Am I seeing him as a threat if I'm local? No. Am I seeing him as a resource knowing that he has sold and done business with 70 plus countries? Right? And so now, if I have questions about business, global business, I'm going to him. I'm not going to NAR. Now, is it real estate? Does he know real estate? No, he's been for less than a month, right? In real estate. But do we think that he has information that could then translate into what we want to do? So this is what I want you all to see. This right here, is it good stuff? Yes. This is where we make it, okay? So now, if I said, okay, we're going to do 30 seconds of networking. Here's what I would tell you. Just in a few shifts with what we've learned already, your 30 seconds of networking will be more valuable than the 7 minutes we just did. The challenge is we just don't know the right way to do it or a different way to do it. So hopefully our minds have shifted already. We're good there? All right. Did anyone answer the question why you should work with me or why I should be a referral partner or why clients should work with me? Did anyone answer that question? I didn't hear the question asked, so I'm just curious. You answered that question?
Oh, why I am, yes.
Okay. And so what was the answer?
Well, they didn't see me as a threat because I do commercial and let's do residential.
Okay. So that's a fantastic reason. Yes, sir.
I mentioned that as he builds it, the coral, that I have both type of, one would be investors and some people wanted a second home, maybe even to immigrate from Brazil. And I have the context there and the language and all that. So I kind of made a connection from clients outside of this market, bringing them in.
And so that's the win for, not for you, that's the win for Jesus, because you're saying, hey, I have access to what you need. They're outside of your marketplace. This is why you should want to work with me, because I'm going to help you win. And by default, he's going to win. Okay? So why should someone work with us? It has to be a benefit to them. And then if we help others win, we're going to win on the other side of it. So great job there. Anyone else? So here's what I'm going to ask you. How many of you are probably going to have to go back and answer or rework your answer to that question? Why should clients work with you? Right? I simply tell people this. So when people ask me, so I don't know if you all can tell, my personality is a little bit different. I say, you work with me if you want to work with the best. And they say, I say, no, really. I'm your one-stop shop. If you want to know anything about real estate in the U.S., I have more connections, more valuable connections than anyone else you'll ever meet. Don't believe me? Here's what we're going to do, right? And so then I start saying, if you want. And so some of you all that were with me earlier, the main reason why people work with you is not because of anything you know or anything you can tell them. It's about who you know and, more importantly, who knows you. The reason why, this is the cheat code, the reason why people should work with you is because of who you know and who knows you. Okay? Any other answer than that is a long, wrong answer. Because here's what he said. I know clientele. I know what they care about. They know me. I'm going to help Jesus. Right? He didn't articulate it that way, but that's the answer. So why is someone going to work with you? They're going to work with me because when it comes to tax consulting, I know Elkie. Elkie's going to get you in contact with the right people. You call me. I'm your live Google. That's it. If you all have questions about A, B, C, D, I'm your guy. I'm going to get you connected. I have the best network in the world. Do we have access to global ambassadors? Yes. Does it matter which country they're in? No. Does it matter if we know them or not? No. Do we know realtors in every city of every state in any country? Absolutely. We're real estate professionals. Absolutely. We just know that we're not afraid to do the work to find them. Fair enough? Okay. Any questions before we continue? Elkie, now? So we've got a few minutes before we take our break. Here's where, in our manual, type A, type B, foreigners, we can look at that outside of class, yes? So type A means that they're non-resident foreigners, if they're resident foreigners. And why do we care about whether they're resident foreigners or non-resident foreigners? What is that going to typically tell us? So I'm on page number 2, numero dos. Page 2, non-resident foreigner, type A. It talks about them a little bit, and we didn't get really in depth in this morning. That's why we saved it for now. But why do we care whether they are resident or non-resident foreigner? What is that telling us that we need to know?
Tax situation.
Not just tax situation, that's part of it.
Their legal.
Legal situation. Can I tell you all that you all are too smart. You all are thinking too big. You all are thinking too complicated right now. Right?
Citizen or non-citizen?
So, nope, almost.
Can they buy in this country?
Primary use, right? Non-resident are typically going to have what? They're going to say, I need a vacation spot, right? Or investment. The services that we're going to offer for a non-resident are not going to be the same for a resident foreigner. Okay? Then we can look at non-resident versus resident, and we can start identifying types or the countries where they're coming from based on the services that they need and the type of property that they're going to purchase. Yes, sir?
What's residence by investment in the U.S.? Is it $1 million?
I'm sorry?
Residence by investment in the U.S.?
So this is where I'm going to tell you. So what he's talking about, residence by investment, the dollar amount so that they get their residency. Okay, so as a blanket, we don't have a guideline. As a blanket, we don't anymore. So if you all are familiar, I'll just tell you, in Dubai, right? So Dubai has been a big one. There are other countries, we're talking about golden visa programs. I know Portugal used to have it, but they did away with that one, I think, in 22. Right? So the whole idea was that it used to be if you spent $1 million, now you get residency, and then you have to figure out some other things. In the U.S., they started doing away with that because the thresholds, and so that's where we saw the bringing on of, they started trying to do the EB-5 visa, right? And those things. It's just that in the U.S., what we have found, unfortunately, the people who were in charge of those programs, we just got it really wrong. And they weren't utilizing the program right, the funds right, reporting it correctly. The people over those regional centers were guilty of fraud and taking the money and all of that. So we just haven't figured it out yet. And so that's why, depending on different states, depending on the countries where individuals are coming from, who can't purchase, but as far as the residency by sales price, we don't have, because then...
The EB-5 is done in the U.S.?
No, the EB-5 is not done. We still have EB-5, but certain regional centers. The EB-5 center that we had in South Florida, when I say they did it wrong, Like a lot of money came in there and it never made it into the program. And so you had individuals, I'm going to say immigrants, coming in thinking that they were doing, and no, we had immigrants coming in doing the right thing. They were doing the right thing, the right way, trying to build the program, have the business, make sure we get the right number of employees and all of that. It was reported wrong and the monies never made it where they were supposed to. And so then as an immigrant, not knowing the right way, you're thinking, well, you've done everything right, but then be taken advantage of. So a lot of that's become more scrutinized in how they're going to leverage the EB-5.
Difference, I was in Dubai 21, I think it was like $400,000, but you can purchase a real estate and live on it.
Yep.
Here you have to invest, you couldn't buy a property.
There we go,
That's a
right?
major difference.
And so that's the big difference. Residency. Are you going to live in it, or do you have to have it for investment to create jobs? And so this is where we just need to know, what do we need to know, right? The first thing I'm going to tell everyone to do, your local global business council. Get involved with your local global business council, because these are going to be the people that know the stuff. And they're going to be the people, more importantly than the stuff, they're going to know the people. Right? Every answer to our question is not going to be in a manual. It's probably going to be a phone call, text message, email, or a face-to-face away. Right? So Jesus started getting answers to his questions simply by, hey, I'm Jesus. Hey, I have buyers that might be looking for what you have. When Elkie comes in, it's not the brochure, it's not the M&Ms that's the answer to our problems or questions, it's Elkie. Right? Do you all see how that works? Any other questions before we continue? Questions, comments, concerns? Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and take our 7 minutes right now? 7 minutes right now. We're going to come back. I don't want you all concerned about where we are or where we aren't in the manual, because like I said, you all are going to have this when we're not together. But I'm going to show you all some additional shortcuts, some best practices that we're going to use. 7 minutes. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, there we go. GoPro, stop recording.